The Umpire Inspire podcast is all about the stories, all about the journeys, and all about the heart of being an umpire. I'm your host, Jason Becker. Umpire Inspire is a brand new kind of umpire community. Visit umpireinspire.com where you can learn more about what's going on here and why. You can leave me a voicemail to be featured on a future episode. More on that at the tail end of today's show. And anytime you'd like to get in touch, please shoot me an email at jason@umpireinspire.com. Let me know what you think of the show, or just say hi. I would be very, very happy to hear from you as we begin to build this new thing for you. That's right, Umpire Inspire is for you. So jump in and be a part of it. Today, I am lucky to visit with Bobby Tassone, a minor league umpire who will be working in the Carolina League this year. And I am so excited for you to hear from him. He's a pretty mellow guy, but do not let his low-key demeanor fool you. Bobby has a very true, very deep passion for what he's doing as an umpire, working his way through and up the minor league system. We discuss his decision to pursue umpiring as a career, his journey so far through the minor leagues, the opportunities he's had, and the good folks who have helped him along the way. We talk about life in spring training and a whole lot more. So please enjoy my visit with Bobby Tassone. All right, Bobby, welcome. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
It's awesome to have you, man. I met you a few weeks ago. You and I worked a doubleheader together, which I want to get to later on. And we were able to have the traditional chat in the parking lot before and after. And you were actually one of the very first people to learn about Umpire Inspire. So this is a pleasure to have you, and I've been looking forward to it. I know that we have some interesting stuff to talk about today. So to start out with, Bobby, tell me, before we get back to the beginnings of your career, where are you at now and what are you doing? Give me 2 or 3 minutes on what your current situation is and what you've got going on for the next several weeks.
Yeah, so right now I'm out in Phoenix, Arizona, a couple weeks early for spring training report here on March 15th to Cincinnati Reds camp for the second year in a row. So I'll be out here until about April 3rd or so. Just working, getting back in the swing of things, hanging out with all the guys out here, and getting ready to go when I head out to the Carolina League for opening day on April 9th.
Right on. Congratulations. Is Carolina League a repeat for you? Is it a move up? Is it a different situation for you than last year?
Yeah, the Carolina League's a promotion. Carolina League is one of the 3 high A classification leagues. So that's one step below double A. So last year I was in the Midwest League, which is the low A classification, both full season, 140 games each. But yeah, this year's a promotion going up to the next level, one step closer.
That's awesome. Congrats, man. What helped you to earn your promotion? Can you tell me a little bit about what that's like for the evaluations you get and what you need to do to earn that step?
Yeah, and sometimes there's a little bit of luck involved. We get evaluated 8 games of our 140, so sometimes you got to have a little bit of luck there involved. But, just doing the same thing over and over every night and just trying to be as consistent as possible, with everything you do out there. So once you get to those nights where maybe a little more stressful than others, when you have a supervisor evaluating you, you're just kind of doing the same thing you would have done regardless of whether or not they were there. So I just kind of approached games the same way like that every time, and it's paid off so far for me.
How do you find out that you're going to be moving up or elsewhere or lateral? What's the process like? Is it a postseason meeting that you have? Is it an email, a phone call? How does that work? And when did you find out that you'd be going up to Carolina League this year?
We'll get right around the middle of October. We'll get a postseason evaluation form, which kind of puts together all of our evaluations we had throughout the season. It also includes our ranking, and I actually found out about my promotion the weekend before Thanksgiving when I was actually out in San Antonio for an umpire clinic that I was helping out with out there.
Right on. And it's a mix of plate and base evaluations that you get. Is it half and half, or is it just what it is?
Correct. Yeah, it's all culminating. So they take into account your plate work, your base work, and kind of push it all together, and then I'll get evaluated amongst your peers.
Can you remember some of the comments that were made that helped them to choose you for promotion? Like, what were the specific things that you did well last year that helped you along this year?
Well, my mobility definitely got better last year.
Okay.
I'm going to be 30 here in about 2 weeks, so staying in the gym definitely helps maintaining, your physical capabilities of keeping up with some of these kids that are, 17, 18, 19 years old coming through the minor leagues now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was one thing that stood out for me, which was nice because I put in a lot of work in the gym last year.
That's good.
So,
You worked hard on it and it was recognized.
yeah, definitely.
Well, Bob, so let's take it back. You've been doing this for a lot of years, working your way up. Can you tell me where it all started for you? And specifically, I'm curious to hear about your decision, the decision, capital T, capital D, when you decided to go for it, to lay it all out there and make the decision to pursue umpiring as a career. What was that like for you, and what was that like for the others in your life, family and friends, at that time?
Definitely. So I moved to Sandwich, Illinois, and yes, that's definitely a town, even though it's a food.
Right on.
Sandwich, Illinois. My parents moved us all out there, all six of us, in 2001, and conveniently, like an acre walk out of the backyard, we had 7 ball diamonds back in our backyard. So I mean, as a kid growing up, loving baseball, playing it, like they were showing us the house, and we're like, yeah, we need to buy this house, mom
Yes,
and
please.
dad.
Yep.
This is where I want to be.
That's cool.
So I started out back there, and it was just a dream summer job for a kid who loved baseball and couldn't get enough of it. Whether or not I went out and played that night, I would either end up going out and umpiring that night, starting doing 7 and 8-year-old level games right behind my house. And during the daytime, I would also go out there and prepare the fields, chalk them, drag them, get them ready to be played on. So it was kind of a little sense of pride since all right, I'm going to be working on this field tonight. I'm going to give this one a little more attention.
Nice.
That just growing up and all the way through high school, I did that. So I had kind of a gold mine in a sense as a young person back there. I did it through college. Could always count on, probably had 120 games scheduled for the summer, but being in the Midwest, you're lucky if you got 80 of those. Just all the rain.
Sounds like the Northwest.
Yeah, exactly. So
I can relate.
The journey until I moved to Phoenix, Arizona in 2014 was just something I just did as a summer job. When I moved to Phoenix, Arizona in 2014, I took a teaching job for 2 years. I was a 7th and 8th grade social studies teacher in Central Phoenix. However, I had to supplement my income as a teacher with baseball umpiring, and it was great. It was to the point where I had to say no. There's just so much baseball out here. So I really got around a lot of good people out here and had an enormous amount of reps. Like when I got to Phoenix, I didn't know half the things I thought I did about baseball umpiring. At that point, I was already, almost 10 years into doing this. And I got out here and it was like Aladdin, a whole new world.
Yeah.
So after doing teaching for 2 years, I get around a lot of, seasoned veterans out here. And over time, I just kept hearing the same repetitive response from these guys, saying, I wish I would have went to umpire school and, see how this would have went. I maybe could have had a chance to make it to the major leagues. And after hearing that over and over, I just didn't want to become the same, I didn't want to have to say to myself later on in life, I wish I would have. So after my second year of teaching, I put my resignation in. I worked baseball primarily in Phoenix that year. I worked 528 games at the amateur level out here that year. So, I mean, definitely can do it
Wow.
out here. There's guys that go over 600 games a year. It's absolutely crazy, but you can do it. But at that point, I just took the leap, started preparing as much as I could, and went to umpire school. So it was a little, definitely scary to basically quit a career that had, all the job securities you would need, like insurance and whatnot, and just decide I'm going to chase this out and see what happens. So it was kind of funny after I graduated in 2013 from college. I struggled for about a year and a half to find a teaching job. And right after I graduated from college, I remember my dad saying, "You ever thought about going to umpire school?"
Oh no.
Like, this was 2013. I didn't go until 2000, 2017. So,
Listen to your parents, kids.
right.
Sometimes we know. It's infrequent, but it is true sometimes.
Yeah. So, when I made the decision finally, it was like "What took you so long?" kind of a moment for my family.
That's great,
Saying,
man. Oh, they were happy
I'm
to hear that too, right?
yeah, absolutely. So just from there, I went to Daytona Beach, attended Harry Wendelsted's umpire school, and the rest is history to this point.
Umpire schools like Wendelstedt have a very limited number of spots available, right?
Oh no,
To get
the
hired on.
attendance. Oh yeah, yeah, definitely, and it just depends, and it varies year to year. It depends on how many retirements you have from the major league level and on down, trickling all the way down to the rookie level classification. So it really, I mean, some years it could be 40 jobs available. The year I went, I think there was 23. So like it really varies. It definitely varies a lot.
How many students were in that class with you?
We had a total between the two schools. I want to say there was about
Okay.
225 attendees between the two schools.
Okay. And you got one of a couple dozen spots that year.
Yeah.
Can you remember what your thought process was when you did get that call and realized, okay, this is happening?
Yeah, it's a great sense of achievement. And also at the same time, you make friends for 5 weeks out there too. Where you almost kind of have to remain humble in a sense to not be overexcited for yourself, just to be respectful to, your peers that you were attending school with as well. But yeah, it was definitely a sense of relief because I mean, you go out there and it's about a $4,000 course, and I mean, you're kind of putting $4,000 on, on red or black in a sense. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not a guaranteed thing
Yeah.
unless so it's a really big gamble, and you're not working for 5 weeks either. So it's tough for guys or girls to go out there and attend the professional training, which I wish everybody could do, but it's just not financially feasible for most. So it's definitely an experience. I wish everybody could do it, but yeah, it's something else for sure.
Do you remember who your first call was after you got the news that you had been selected?
Oh, I definitely called my parents. That was my first call. They're one of my biggest supporters, and then I called my great aunt, who actually helped me out financially to actually attend this school. So
Oh,
it was
very good.
actually really a cool experience last year in the Midwest League when I got to work in her hometown in Peoria, Illinois, where the St. Louis Cardinals have their affiliate team in the Midwest League. So it was really an awesome experience for both of us. Just like she helped me get there, and I put the work in to get there, and just having her there that night in the stands, just watching a baseball game with her great nephew was that was a great experience.
I love that. That's cinematic right there, dude.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah, we're all standing on the shoulders of so many people that have helped us along, right?
definitely.
Who can you remember that, you mentioned back in your social studies teaching days and getting involved with baseball down in Arizona, you said, you ran into some real good people, some veterans that helped you along and encouraged you and told you, man, I wish I would have, rolled the dice. I wish I would have put 4 grand down on black, as you said. Can you remember some of those first mentors that spurred you along?
Yeah, definitely. And so the one mentor I had was a unique case, and one of my great friends, Angel Campos, who actually worked all the way up as a call-up umpire at the major league level.
Yeah,
So
sure.
Angel had about over 500 games at the big league level, but he took me under his wing the year before I went to umpire school and really gave me all the details, like as far as this is how you get your pants on, like everything I could have known. He helped me out, and that was such a huge benefit to be able to work with a resource like that. And I mean, I do definitely thank him a lot for my success, just because I've learned so much prior to going to umpire school. So I felt like I kind of had a quarter step ahead of everyone, just because I've had that knowledge I gained from him.
How did you run into Angel Campos? Was he a working umpire down there at that time, or was he evaluating for an association, or what was that all about?
Yeah, so Angel works at the Division I college level now, and
Okay.
but during the summertime we have you know UICs or umpires that are there just to make sure everything's going smoothly, especially in the hot months out here in Phoenix, just to have an extra person out there in case somebody goes down so we don't have to scramble to find a fill in. So he was working as a UIC one day and got wind of that I was going to commit to umpire school, and I already had. So he really did take it upon himself just to help groom me as much as he possibly could prior to going. So it was, like I said, I can't thank him enough for that. There were several other guys out here too when I first moved here that kind of led me in the right direction. And Ken Gonzalez is another guy that I definitely looked up to. Um, Ken definitely taught me a thing or two about situation management and what to
Yeah.
do and what not to do at times. But
Good. Good.
he's been one of my great friends as well with just developing out here as an umpire.
With those guys and others that have kind of spoken into your life and helped you along the way, is it more mechanics or is it more uh, game management type stuff that you feel is most beneficial when you're talking to mentors and more seasoned umpires like that?
No, it's definitely game management, and the mechanics will come. We all change them here and there, and we play with what we feel works for us. But it's more so just how to handle all those nitty gritty times and how to overcome situations, especially when we do have failures on the field.
Yeah, that was clearly a leading question because I think that's been true in my life too. The mechanics and the rules, you can work on those things and step by step they improve. But game management, it only comes by being there, by doing it. And to have somebody like that in your corner speaking to you and filling up your tank with that intel and that encouragement, that's super priceless. Well, let's dive into where you're at right now and the next few weeks of spring training for you. Can you tell me the details of where you're at, who you work for, who you work with, your crew, and what role you play on that crew? And I'm also really curious to hear if there are any very specific things that you are working on in your game this year, either that you've been uh, instructed to work on or personal things that you have inside you that you really want to pay attention to during these next few weeks of spring training. Can you kind of give me the lowdown there?
Yeah, so I'm going to be at the Cincinnati Reds camp again in Goodyear, Arizona for the second year in a row. We have most of the returning guys at our Reds camp. Our chief actually got pulled to work the World Baseball Classic qualifier, so
Ah,
that slid in another person at the our fifth. So there's five of us at our camp. So our crew chief Clint Vondrack got moved up, which is awesome for him to go and be a part of that.
oh, that's going to be a great
So
experience, right?
yeah, it really will be for him. I'm
Super
excited to
cool.
hear about it.
Yeah.
And this year I will be actually the number two guy on our 5-man crew at the Cincinnati Reds side.
What does that mean?
Um, so the number two, that's just one step below the crew chief.
Chief. Yeah.
So
Okay.
I'm really looking forward to the challenges, the responsibilities, and taking that on this year. last year I shared low man duties with one of my friends, Dylan Bradley. So it was an experience. So making that jump between being one of the low guys and going to two man, it's going to be a really. I'm excited for the challenge and I'm ready for it. But however, you're just helping out as much as you can for the crew chief, keeping everything going smoothly and making sure there's no problems. Through the 3 weeks that we're out here for our spring training side for the minor league spring training. So yeah, and to answer your question, minor league baseball is the one that hired us individually for this assignment, and then we just get placed at one of our two preferences for our spring camp. So I put in for the Reds this year, and I want to say I think I put the Padres. So the few things you look for is location. Being that I picked the Padres, I think they have one of the best cafeteria foods
Okay.
throughout the spring training sites. But
So
the
the
Reds do
criteria.
too. The Reds have a really good barbecue company that they always cater for, so their food's usually really good. So I mean, it's those little comforts at home that you always try to look for on the road.
Hey, man, that's right. That's right. And what's the day by day like? Do you work front field games, back field games, a mixture of both? Are you working 1, 2 games a day? What's the nuts and bolts of that?
That's a good question. We work backfield games, and it's usually just one game a day.
Okay.
It's about 10 or 11 a.m. depending. And then after that, you have the rest afternoon. You go out and you might get a nap in, get a gym session in, and then the rest of the evening there, you're just either preparing for the next day. We'll do like a rule study amongst our crew, and depending on who wants to meet up, we'll go meet up with one of the other 14 crews that are out here, and you kind of just get to catch up with all your friends and meet new people. The big league umpires are out here too, and they come out and say hey, and it's always great to talk to them and just get to know them as people. So
Yeah. I'm interested to hear about what you said about the MLB guys being around, and what's the environment like? What's the atmosphere when you're off the field? Is it pretty chill? Is it pretty laid back, or are guys more or less focused on the task and what needs to be done on the
yeah,
field?
it's pretty laid back. I mean, we're all here to work ultimately and get back in the swing of things, but spring training is a good time to reconnect with your friends. We all live all over the country, and you get to, like I said, just talk shop with your fellow umpires at times. And with to answer your question, having the big league guys out here, it's just great to have guys that are at that level out here, and they're willing to, maybe give you a piece of information, tip, what have you. Um, so it's really an interesting and a unique experience during spring training for sure.
Do you find that most of those MLB guys are pretty willing to chat with a guy like you who's working his way up and answer questions and help them along?
Oh yeah, those guys are
Yeah.
all great people. They never hesitate.
So, what about your on-field stuff this year? Are there a couple things specifically that you can think of that you're working on this year to get yourself ready for the season?
More so this year, I'm just in single A we work two men, so this year I'm really going to be focusing on how I can refine positioning for plays, paying attention to routes I'm taking, since we've got very little variance in the two-man umpire system for error, since we're covering such a big ground. So it's really just mentally breaking down plays before they happen, so I'm in a good position to see a play. Also just maintaining who I am, not trying to do too much on the field. Pretty low key on the field. I'm sure, as you remember, like a couple weeks ago.
Yes, and I loved it.
So yeah, and
So, Bobby, you've had the opportunity to work a couple big games in the last couple years. I know that you've taken part in a couple championship series and some other special games. Can you tell me about some of the bigger opportunities you've had these past couple years as you've been working your way up?
Yeah, definitely. And I've had the honor to work the playoffs the last 3 years in the Arizona League, Pioneer League, and last year in the Midwest League. The Pioneer League was really cool. I worked the plate in the Northwest League, Pioneer League All-Star game in Grand Junction, Colorado.
Very good.
So it was definitely an honor to have that assignment. And then I also worked throughout the both rounds of the playoffs and the Pioneer League Championship. This last year was really a fun experience working in the Midwest League since I'm so close to home in that league. But being able to work at places where I used to go to games as kids and just having that like weird feeling like I remember this place, but now it's different. And yeah, just being selected, it's always an honor. Obviously, it means generally good things are ahead for the next year for you if you get a playoff assignment. So yeah, I'm just trying to just keep my game the way it is right now and hope for the best.
Was some of your family able to come out to the Midwest Championship Series?
They were not able to. However, I had family and friends in 11 of the 16 cities in that league.
Very good.
Throughout the whole season, it was almost every city I was going to, I was running into somebody I knew, which made the summer fly by pretty quickly. A lot faster than I wanted it to go, but it was definitely an awesome experience.
Nice to see a friendly face in the stands or after the game, right?
Definitely, especially when you're on the road and spending almost 200 nights a year in hotel rooms. Anytime you see somebody that it always breathes life back into you a little bit, especially in those later months in July and August where you're kind of getting ready for home. So
yeah, it refills that empty tank that's running on fumes.
Definitely.
What about that plate job for the Pioneer League championship game? Did that game go well for you?
Yeah, that game went really well. It was a long game. I think it ended up being like 14-12 or something like that. And
of
the
course.
Pioneer League winning. But my goodness, the Northwest League brought, I want to say 3 or 4 guys that were throwing over 103 apiece.
No.
And,
wow.
One guy hit 105.5 on the TrackMan. So not only was it kind of the first big cool assignment I've had in professional baseball, and there's like 6,000 people there. I've never worked in front of a crowd that big to that point, but now I got guys throwing just absolute gas, and it was a cool experience for sure.
Here's the important question: how were your catchers that night?
Oh, it's to be expected in an all-star game. You're gonna have some pretty good catchers. I had Joey Bart for the Northwest League for like 5-6 innings.
Okay.
And he's, their top catching prospect in the Giants organization. So I definitely had some good guys in front of me, and I'm grateful for that.
Does 103 look different coming at you than 95?
Not really.
Okay.
Everything, 96 plus kind of looks the same unless it's got a little two-seam action that's tailing on you. But
yeah,
for the most part, it all looks the same. 105 definitely looks different, though. I'll tell you that.
Okay. There's your threshold. 103 manageable. 105, watch out.
Yep.
My gosh, I can only imagine. So, Bobby, when I first met you a few weeks ago, you were just about to help teach a clinic down in Palm Springs.
Yep.
And I've heard from others who participated in the clinic that was fabulous and fantastic. And I was just wondering, what are some of the key messages that you share with younger umpires when you are a part of a clinic like that?
I really like to always start with, remaining humble. Don't get too far ahead of yourself. If somebody's trying to take their time and help you get better at this, there might be a chance that you can take something away from it. I like to tell, newer officials, especially when the biggest struggle with newer officials is just, the situation management, handling, interacting with coaches, or the players, just listen to comprehend over replying. Because sometimes if we listen to comprehend, we can maybe decipher more instead of just hearing yelling and then yelling back. So those are a few of the big points I always try to touch on with younger officials.
Do you see patterns with younger umpires mechanically that you see over and over again that are correctable in a clinic situation like that?
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of it comes down to timing. You know, we get so excited when we're younger and newer at this that it's like you feel so amped up. But a lot of times that's the biggest thing I notice, and I'm sure some of my peers that also do clinics and trainings, that timing can be the biggest factor that in anything in umpiring. That's one of the hardest things I believe that to master is your timing in anything that you do out on the field. So over time that'll come, but initially it just feels that's the noticeable trend. Everything tends to be really quick.
Well, Bobby, this is the Umpire Inspire podcast, as you well know. So around here, we think that we're doing more in this job than just calling balls and strikes. And I know you to be someone who believes that too. And one of the ways that you live that is by participating with the UmpsCare charity. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely.
Can you give me the lowdown on what UmpsCare is all about and how you've participated in the past, and what kinds of things that you might be interested in contributing in the future?
Yeah, UmpsCare Charities is a charity organization that was started by a few major league umpires. They help less fortunate youth and families across the country, whether it be financially or a scholarship or just simply having them to the ballpark and show them around a little bit before the game. I've participated in a couple of ways, and you could too on umpscare.com. You can make a donation to the charity. It's completely nonprofit, so everything's going towards a great thing. The events I've participated, I like to donate towards somebody playing in a golf tournament where all the proceeds go towards a specific charity group or helping an individual. Or this year will be my second year participating in the UmpsCare bowling event in Tempe, Arizona, and we raise money amongst all of us minor league umpires, which typically amounts somewhere north of 10 grand. But the event overall is really, really cool thing. And of course you get out and get a little competitive amongst the crews, and the winner gets a nice round of golf somewhere in Phoenix. So it's an exciting event. You get a little competitive, but overall the nature of the event is bigger than what we're just doing by simply playing bowling and raising money. It's helping people that really need it, and that's ultimately the mantra over there, is helping people is an easy call. So definitely stand for that charity event, and really enjoy being a part of anything that UmpsCare does.
Helping is an easy call. That's awesome.
Yep.
What was the website again where people can find out about UmpsCare?
Umpscare.com.
Okay, I think we could remember that.
Yeah.
So to wrap things up, or to head in that direction, Bobby, do you have any thoughts to share with the younger or the newer umpires that are listening to the podcast today? It wasn't so long ago that you were a younger or newer umpire yourself. You've made maybe it doesn't always feel like a quick trip up the ladder, but you're making your way. And I'm sure you can remember the days where you were just thinking about it and maybe considering taking that next step, or hearing those guys saying, man, I wish I would have, and pondering, man, maybe I should. What would you say to those guys that are in that spot, and what kinds of things would you say to encourage them to keep on going, to pursue this craft, this passion a little more directly?
Yeah, I would definitely say ultimately keep having fun with it. If you're not having fun, then you may need to do some evaluating, but be willing to learn. Don't don't give up over a bad game or two. Help each other out. Be willing to learn. Ultimately, I still learn even at the level I'm at. I never think that I'm above any game that I work. Whether it be a couple 9U games that I worked Monday night out here in Phoenix with my partner from the Midwest League, or what have you, just remaining, humbled that, oh, I'm working Little League today. I don't think this is the level of ball I should be working. No, approach it differently. Like I think I'd mentioned this to you when we worked together in Palm Springs. I like those kind of games because things that are unordinary happen in them. And as an umpire, it's exciting because now we get to umpire something that's, simply more than a routine out or safe play at first or a ball right down the middle. So those types of things in approach, it would be something I would tell somebody that's new at this. Like, always think of games as a opportunity to either work out your skills or get better or work on something, regardless of the level that you're working at.
Yeah, well said. That's awesome. Well, Bobby, I want to wrap this up by thanking you for a couple things. First of all, it's been brought up a couple times that you and I met a couple weeks ago down in Palm Springs. We were doing an MSBL adult baseball tournament. This was right before the clinic you taught down there. And I went down there to see what umpiring one of those tournaments was all about because I've been down as a player with my men's team several times, but had never umpired one of those tournaments. And I had a lot of fun, met some great guys. For a Northwesterner like me, the opportunity for 3 days in the sunshine was not to be understated.
Absolutely.
That was a big part of it. But I was fortunate that on that Sunday morning, I was paired up with you for a doubleheader. And I just want to thank you because I was not expecting what I got. The opportunity to meet you and just talk about your journey. And then, Bobby, you basically just gave me a private 5-hour clinic on that field that day. Every half inning, we'd meet in between there, talk about things that happened in the previous half inning, just chat about this or that. You answered a lot of my questions, and I really appreciated that. That was definitely the highlight of my weekend. I can remember a couple specific things that we talked about that happened in the game that I've now passed on to some of my guys here. Like, if you remember, we had the on the transfer play, that second batter of the game, and we discussed some strategies to help a base umpire decide, okay, was that not voluntary release or was that an actual transfer? And we're going to hang on to that out. And so I've passed on your advice to my umpires here to watch the direction of the ball. I don't know if you remember telling me about that. That was a really good one. We talked about infield fly positioning and decision-making. We talked about fighting for position on a couple plays there when I was over in A. And anyways, man, I just wanted to thank you for that straight up because that was a really cool opportunity for me. And you were very generous with your comments and all your input. And didn't expect to have an opportunity like that going down there, but that was surely the highlight of my weekend.
Absolutely. Mine too. And I always love helping guys that are willing. Like I said, I don't have everything figured out, but if I have somebody that's willing to even be a little receptive to feedback, and I love doing that, especially with my education background. So
yeah, there you go. So the second thing I want to thank you for, Bobby, is for coming on to the show. This has been awesome. And I wish you all the best of luck this year. It's been great making your acquaintance and your friendship, and now I've got somebody else to keep tabs on and to watch over the course of the season. I hope that you and I can keep in touch, and maybe even we'll do podcast chapter 2 down the road and see how things are going for you, and definitely hope to run into you on a ball field again sometime soon.
Absolutely. Maybe down in Palm Springs again.
I love it. All right, pal. Hey, good luck at spring training. Don't let anybody out hustle you. And thanks again for coming on to the show.
All righty. Thank you, Jason. Appreciate it.
that was a ton of fun for me. What a pleasure to visit with a guy in Bobby's unique position. I admire so much that Bobby is just a real humble guy and is so quick to acknowledge and thank the veterans and the mentors who have helped him along the way. And as mentioned in the show, now you and I, dear listeners, have someone to follow in the box scores this year and cheer on as he works the Carolina League and on his way up toward MLB. I have no doubt that Bobby's going to go far. I have many more conversations to bring to you. Conversations with extraordinary and ordinary umpires from all around the world who have enthusiasm for our craft and a positive attitude toward umpiring. Umpires who consider their jobs to be a lot more than just calling balls and strikes. So at the conclusion of each episode, I'd like to bring you into the show. You can leave me voicemails. It's very easy. You can find the link at umpireinspire.com or in the show notes. Let me know what inspires you as an umpire, why you do what you do, what keeps you coming back. Here's Bob Benoit, a Little League umpire from Bothell, Washington.
Hey Jason, just dropping a note to say how much I love Umpire Inspire. As someone who's grown up with Little League Baseball and umpiring my whole life, it's fun to hear the stories of other umpires and the journey that they're on. I can relate so much with my own journey as a Little League umpire, umpiring my kids' games, and now moving on to more umpiring and in Little League. I think baseball is such a great sport for kids and their ability to learn teamwork and learn from each other, and that umpires have a unique opportunity to create the type of environment that optimizes for that. And that seems to be what your podcast is all about. So thanks and keep it up. Can't wait till the next episode.
That's awesome, Bob. Thank you so much. Please let me know what you think. Shoot me an email at jason@umpireinspire.com or leave me a voice message like the one you just heard from Bob. You can do that right from your computer or your phone. The link is at umpireinspire.com and in the show notes. At umpireinspire.com, you can also sign up for the free weekly 3 and 2 bulletin, where I share 3 bits of umpire news and 2 pieces of umpire inspiration every week. That's just a bit of motivation that I collect and curate for you to help keep your tanks full and to keep you inspired over the course of the season. Umpire Inspire is for you, and I really hope you'll take the time to be a part of this new kind of umpire community. Thank you so much for listening. I really hope you enjoyed it today, and I hope you feel encouraged and motivated to go out there and to call some great games. Have a great week, work hard out there, and I'll see you next week on the Umpire Inspire podcast.